Hello, I'm Marta, and I will present to you my work called The Role of Self-Generation on the Episodic Structure of the Memory Representation of Sounds. Our actions play an important role on how we perceive our experience. The well-known self-generation effects describe attenuated sensory processing for self-initiated stimuli compared to externally generated ones, such as the N1 and P2 suppression that we see here. Even though actions have a clear impact on sensory processing, there's not much known about how it affects higher processes, like for example memory. The most evidence that actions influence memory is brought to us by the production effect, a term coined to describe how, for example, spoken words are better remembered than listened words, and rehearsed piano melodies are remembered better than listened ones. Although this effect seems clear, the neural mechanisms mediating the production effect are currently unknown, and there have been no direct attempts to relate these two effects: the self-generation effect on sensory processing and the production effect on memory. Therefore, could the production effect be related to the self-generation effects? The main aim of this study is to assess whether the self-generation effects are related to the production effect on memory for self-generated sounds, and a possible way in which actions could affect memory is by influencing its episodic structure. As we know, information encoded in memory is organized into discrete episodes or events. Studies on episodic memory have found that sequential memory for events that belong to the same episode is higher than for events belonging to separate episodes. Given this, we hypothesize that actions may not only modulate the strength of memories for self-generated stimuli, but they may additionally structure the encoding of events in memory, creating differentiated memory representations for self-generated and externally generated stimuli. To answer our questions, we design a memory task with an encoding, retention, and retrieval phase. In the encoding phase, we deliver consecutive self and externally generated sounds, with the aim of creating two different context episodes within a sequence of 9 sounds. At the start of each trial, a horizontal line was drawn from left to right at a stable pace, crossing some vertical lines. Participants were asked to press a button each time the horizontal line crossed a vertical line, and when they did that, a sound was delivered. Also, after this row of vertical lines or before the row of vertical lines, there were the externally generated sounds presented. After this encoding phase, there was a short retention phase where they had to memorize all the sounds, and then in the retrieval phase, they were presented with 2 sounds from the encoding phase. That could be either from across episodes or from within episodes. That is, one self-generated and one externally generated for the across condition, and two self-generated or 2 externally generated in the within condition. After they had to answer if they were presented in the same order at encoding or not, with a yes/no answer. Here we have the results. The N1 and P2 components of the auditory ERPs were attenuated for self-generated compared to externally generated sounds, as we expected. However, despite this differentiated sensory processing, behavioral analysis failed to reveal any differences between the across and the within conditions. Moreover, if there was a production effect, there should have been a memory advantage for self-generated sounds compared to externally generated sounds, both from the within condition. However, performance for self-generated pairs was not significantly different from externally generated pairs. To conclude, the present findings suggest that the suppression of sensory responses for self-generated stimuli does not influence memory encoding of these stimuli, pointing to a lack of direct relationship between the known self-generation effects on sensory processing and the production effect on memory. Thank you for your attention.